Hello class. I wanted to give a quick introduction to QuickBooks so you can see what we were talking about on week 1. As you'll see here is the home menu. On the home menu, there's different shortcuts and there's a flow chart that you can follow through so that you can go and prepare your transactions without having to go through either the shortcut screen or up here in the menu. So for example would be if you started from the beginning, you would have your sales order and you click on your sales order and it'll bring up to your sales order, and then you would flow through and you can do the different transactions. When you go and follow the flow chart, you can go and create your invoices all the way to receiving your payments, which would then lead to your banking. So you can use this to maneuver around. What I also wanted to show you as well was up on the top, up on the menu bar. Up on the menu bar, I just wanted to cover a few things of importance that I feel that is commonly used. In the file is where you would have you can back up your company. You can open up a secondary company. So you can have 2 companies opened at once. You can open up, you'll have a path for your previous companies that you've opened up recently. You can set the number of previous companies. You can create a copy, close your company, log off to your company. The utilities is more so if you are going to set up for an accountant's copy, if you wanted to, or if you wanted to export out lists or import lists, you can import different files. If you wanted to send your copy, your accountant's copy, here would be your accountant's copy that you would send out, client activities, and then send to accountant. That would create a QBX file, and they would send that to your accountant. They would be able to make changes and send back to them. Their file would be a QBA file, would be their working file. Under the edit, the biggest thing that you would have is your preferences. You can go into your preferences and you can make changes to different things that you would want. If you start at the top, you have your accounting. You go to company preferences, and here is where you would go if you wanted to track classes or not, if you wanted to use account numbers or not have account numbers. You can give warnings if your transactions are past due. You can set your password and close the books. So this way, if you have a calendar year end, 12/31, and you wanted to freeze and lock out any activity for anything for 2019, you can go and set your date, set your closing date, and then you'll create your password. You would also have under your general, you have your preferences. Here is where I mentioned where with the beeping, I like to always turn off the beep. You can change your date. If you're doing multiple transactions for the same date, you can use the last entered date as your default. That's how I normally have it set. Or you can use today's if you are current and you're going to be using today's date. So as you can see here, in your preferences, you can change, and you can change your different view. You have your desktop view if you wanted to have for multiple windows open, or if you were just going to have one window, it would just be locked on the one window. Multiple windows, you can, as you would see behind me, you can see that there's the multiple you can toggle through. You can set how you want your desktop to be saved. if you wanted to save, if you're in the middle of working something and you want to be able to go back to where you left off, you can do save current desktop, and that would bring back anything the same way how you left it. You can change your color of your screen up here on the bar. So if you wanted to go and you wanted to go pink, as you'll see, it'll change to pink for you. Under the view is where you would have your different, how you wanted to format. If you wanted to have your left icon, top icon, so you can see that it's all up here. You can hide your icon bar. Again, you can have another spot here. As you'll see in QuickBooks, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. You can do different ways. So you can have the one window like we saw, or you can have the multiple windows, just like in the preferences. Under list, which is important for us accountants, is the chart of accounts. This is where you can find your chart of accounts. You can have your items list. You can have your class list. The item list is important as you're going to learn and you're going to start working on different items. And here is where you would have, you're going to set up items that you would have on your invoices, and they would have it attached. So on this one, for pet exams, you would have your annual exam. It would be mapped to service, and it would go to your service fee income. So when you put that into your invoice, you can click your annual, and it'll come up as you'll see with the price. So you would go to your customer, and then you can go to create invoice, and then you come over here to your items, and if you went to exam, you'll see here's a different exam, so that item, how that is mapped out for you. Favorites, you can customize your favorites how you want. You can move things around for your menu. The accountant, that's us, obviously, and this is where this is important. This is where you will make your journal entries. You can make journal entries, send journal entries. You can reconcile your working trial balance. Under company, this is where you would have your company information. So you can go to company, you go to my company if you need to change anything here, and this is where you would have all your company information. On the company, you can also set your reminders. So if you have bills to pay or different dates or something, you can set up your reminders. You can have a to-do list. You're going to talk about in chapter 3, you're going to see with the lead center. Under the customers section, you're going to have your customer center. You're going to see in chapter 3 with your customer center is going to have the list of all your customers and any jobs that are out there and what their balance is on what they're owed or owe you as a receivables. You can create your invoices. You can enter your statement charges. Vendors, same thing as customers, but now you're on the vendor side. So these are the people you're going to be paying, and you can see here who has balances. You'll have your bill tracker. This is also where you're going to enter bills, which is important. So you'll enter a bill if you have, say, utilities or supplies. You would enter it in. You have received an invoice, so you'll enter that bill in. You'll put the dollar amount. As you'll see, it's going to pull up the current date, and you can drop your information in, and then you would go save and new. And then you would go to your pay your bills, and you can see here, if you're going to pay bills, you can just check on the boxes that you want to pay, and then it'll tell you what your balance is and how much you want to say. if you're going to have discounts or if you're going to have any kind of credits. The employee center is where you're going to have your employees, where you can go and you can add employees. You can click on an employee and you can edit. So you'll come up here to your edit section, and then here is where you can drop in the different information, which we'll cover when we get to payroll. The banking information is where you can go and you write your checks. This was where you also make your deposits. You can transfer funds, and this is where you're going to reconcile, which we will cover in chapter 5. Your report section is one of the most important, I feel. Here is where you can have your different reports. For you guys who have not done it yet, you want to go into your reports. You're going to go and you can see here. Let's see. I'll pull up some activity. No activity. So here you would go and have your choices of how you want to export out. You can print it out, you can Excel out, and you can put that into Excel. So reports is important. You have all the different topics for your reports. If you want vendors, if you want to see an AP aging, if you wanted to go and see your customers, you would go into your customers and receivable. Here's your AR aging. So you can do that. Very helpful tools on the reports. Your window is just how you wanted to have your view on what you want to have on your windows. Your help is where you would have your updates. If you were going to do any kind of updates, any kind of help that you may need, if you need to manage your license, so all helpful. So this concludes a quick introductory on QuickBooks. I hope you found it helpful and useful. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, and thank you.